There's been 48 Vision Gran Turismo cars released since Gran Turismo 6, ranging from crazy Le Mans prototypes to quick EVs, cute K cars, and vehicles powered by laser propulsion units that don't even exist. But which Vision GT cars are the best and which ones suck? What should I spend my hard-earned GT7 credits on? I'll be ranking every single Vision GT car back to front and seeing which one is the best on a tier list. It's gonna be pretty crazy. Let's do it. So before we get into it, let's quickly go over what a Vision GT car is. Announced in 2013, Vision Gran Turismo is where some of the top car companies in the world get to design crazy concept cars and get them included in Gran Turismo, where we get to see what they'd be like to drive on a racetrack. So with this tier list that I'm creating, there are a few rules that we need to stick to. Firstly, we're only including specific Vision Gran Turismo cars in this list. So concept cars or race variants of road cars are not going to be on this tier list. It means that you won't see the Beetle Group 3 or the RX Vision included. Secondly, we're only doing cars from the Vision Gran Turismo project. This means that the Nike One 2022 car is unfortunately not included. So we'll be going through in chronological order from release and ranking each car into a tier from S down to D. There is no criteria. I'm literally just doing it off how I feel driving, how it looks, what the vibe is. And if you disagree with my list, which is entirely understandable, feel free to let us know in the comments. Starting with the OG GT Vision car, the Mercedes-Benz AMG VGT. Slick styling, very smooth. And it also is another car, the Mercedes-Benz AMG VGT Racing Series, which is an extra 14 horsepower and is 85 kilograms lighter, and also it has a wing. Both cars get a C tier. Next is the BMW Vision Gran Turismo, and it's inspired by the 1970s BMW touring cars that tore up the DTM. It's got a 3-litre twin-turbo inline-6, producing 542 horsepower. It has cool stripes and it drives super balanced, and it makes a sick noise. Classic BMW, A tier. The Mitsubishi Concept XR PHEV Evolution Vision Gran Turismo has the longest name of all the cars, and it's a 4-wheel drive plug-in hybrid. It sort of looks like what the World Rally Championship may look like in 15 years. Sadly, Mitsubishi now just makes SUVs and air conditioners, so we'll probably never get to see what something like this would be like. It is quite sad. I do miss the Evo. D tier. The Volkswagen GTI Roadster Vision Gran Turismo was the 4th car series to join Vision GT, and we get a crazy looking roofless car. There's a GT3 version and a road version. The road version is slightly taller and shorter, but both look so incredibly dangerous. If you flip, the roller hoop is basically head height, and the structural integrity of the windshield looks terrible. Also, the wing comes out of the back of the car like a weird kind of add-on thing. You can actually race the GT3 in manufacturers and dailies, and it's got great top speed, but it's a bit of a death trap. At least that's how I remember. Honestly, I think roofs are pretty good and important in cars, and both of these cars get D tier because they forgot to put a roof on. The Nissan Concept 2020 Vision Gran Turismo was designed by both designers in the UK and Japan. Apparently it has some weird ground effects going underneath the skirts, along with an active rear spoiler. It's a hybrid, and weirdly looks like an R35 GTR that's been put through that DALL-E image converter like 8 times in a row. A full-scale replica was created and shown at Tokyo Motor Show 2014 though, which is pretty cool. Next up is the Aston Martin DP100 Vision Gran Turismo. The DP stands for Design Prototype. It has an 1100 brake horsepower twin-turbo V12, which is extremely Aston Martin. It looks real small, and the headlights are in the air ducts, which is a very interesting choice. C tier. The Toyota FT1 Vision Gran Turismo is actually based upon the Toyota FT1 concept car released at North American International Motor Show in 2014, which eventually became the Toyota Supra, which is pretty cool. The Vision GT version has been completely GT3ified with a big wide body, large wing, and general racing things. It's actually a really fun car to drive, with the aero being one of its strong points. Previously in the balance of performance, it's been really strong at handling trucks in sport mode, and the back of it looks hot. The big Toyota logo and perfectly sized wing are great. There's also a non-GT3 version that looks identical. It's a tiny bit faster, but you can't race it in GT3. Both are A tier. Next is the Subaru Visiv GT Gran Turismo. Apparently he was going for that hard, solid, chiseled look. It's a classic Subaru flat 4 engine with 4-wheel drive, and it is torque vectoring, which will apparently distribute power to each wheel automatically. Each wheel arch will light up when in use, which is very cute. It gives me a similar vibe to the VW, and I'm gonna give it a C tier. The Chevrolet Chaparral 2X Vision Gran Turismo was designed as a sort of Garage 56 Le Mans prototype of sorts, and it is absolutely crazy. Just like our friend the Nike One 2022, it's operated from a prone position and is controlled without a steering wheel, but by using hands and feet and stuff. The Bell helmet is also integrated into the car somehow. It thrusts itself by using laser pulse shockwaves directly in certain ways, which also helps with downforce. I don't think that this technology exists yet, though. It also has air brakes, and honestly, I was gonna give this car like a B tier, but it deserves its own tier due to just sheer craziness. The Infiniti Concept Vision Gran Turismo has a big V8 engine, cool styling, and is currently the only Infiniti that you can buy in GT7. It's the most chill Vision car, I guess. It has no hybrid, no turbo, no 4-wheel drive, no active aero, and it has a roof, which is very old school. Fun fact, you can also get this car in Asphalt 8 Airborne, which is apparently a driving game. This car is C tier. Next up is the Mazda LM55 Vision Gran Turismo. It's a Le Mans prototype inspired by the GOAT of Mazdas, the 787B, and you can see this in the design, but also in things like the front rims. It's a big old rotary, and the car is super low to the ground with it sloping off a bunch at the back. It uses the current Kodo Soul of Motion design language, which is actually written on the car. All current Mazdas use this design language, which means that the front of the car actually looks like the cars that you'll see on the road from Mazda, which is pretty cool. I was thinking an A tier for this car, but honestly, the rotary bumps it up another level, so I'm gonna give it an S tier. The Mini Clubman Vision Gran Turismo is a wide-body Mini. Its exhaust looks like the air conditioners from an aeroplane, and the headlights have a cross on it to simulate tape, sort of like old-school racing. This car is built entirely for the track and probably for robbing banks in Italy. I'm gonna give it a C tier. The Alpine Vision Gran Turismo has 3 versions. The Alpine VGT is the OG one, and it's got no rear wing and gives me huge Evangelion vibes for some reason. The brake lights also fold up when not in use. The Alpine VGT Race is the race version. It has a long wing and a cool blue colour. The Alpine VGT 17 is the Group 1 version that was created for GT Sport. It's got the same wing as the race version, but they've tightened up some of the panels and they gave it a roof. Technically, it has a rear-engined rear-wheel drive layout. They look good in my opinion. Both winged versions get A tier and the non-winged gets a B tier. Sadly, Oscar Piastri won't get to drive this car, but you will in GT7. The Lexus LF-LC GT Vision Gran Turismo is a race version of the 2012 LF-LC concept car designed in California. It looks a little big, I guess. I don't know why, maybe it's just the shape of the wide body, I guess. It has a pretty brushstroke livery that changes color depending on where you look at it though, and it has a turbo and 612 brake horsepower. It's okay, I guess. C tier. Next up is the Volkswagen GTI Supersport Vision Gran Turismo. Another Volkswagen, it has a roof this time, which is the best thing about it, and it also has bigger headlights and taillights and looks more like an actual car and not like a death trap. Otherwise, it's about the same. It's just kind of a hot version of the Volkswagen Golf, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. C tier. The Peugeot Vision Gran Turismo is a mid-engine 4-wheel drive, with a 3.2-litre V6 producing 873 horsepower. It also has an active rear wing. The front grille looks kinda great, but the back looks sort of weird, but also very Peugeot. It's like I'm looking at a sort of bizarro version of the RCZ. And I'll give it a C tier. The Group 3 version of the Peugeot has a wing that doesn't move and it has about half the horsepower, but it's very fast in a straight line on the old bop. You used to take this to Tokyo Expressway and just completely smack everyone in a straight line. It's not bad, and I'll give this Group 3 version a B tier. Next up is the SRT Tomahawk Vision Gran Turismo. Okay, so this car has 4 different versions. There's an S version, a GTS-R version, a Group 1 version, and an X version. It uses a graphene lattice for the frame, which is a form of carbon that's supposed to be stronger than steel and lighter than carbon fiber, but I don't think you can use it in 2022. Now, I like how all the other car manufacturers were kind of being real and giving some cars like a real engine with like 500 horsepower and like a real chassis and kind of playing by the rules. And, you know, SRT was just like, no, give it 2,600 horsepower and active aero. And they just went full crazy, and I honestly love it. Anyway, this car is great. The S version is sort of semi-realistic with a power to weight ratio of 1,092 horsepower per ton. The 5 exhaust exits are there, which are pretty hot. Probably, literally, B tier. The GTS-R version is faster and has much more downforce, with an integrated spoiler that lifts to give more stability, B tier. The Group 1 version you can actually race in sport mode against other Le Mans prototypes. It's the heaviest car with the slowest engine of the 4 versions, but the wing with the exhaust looks great though, A tier. Now, the X version. Maybe I'll just show you the X version. So this car has just under 2,600 brake horsepower and a power to weight ratio of 3,452 horsepower per ton, which means if you set it up right, it will do 700 kilometers an hour and start to pop wheelies, just like the good old Scudo from GT3. It has 9 active aero surfaces that pop out to help with braking and turning, and this car is so fast and bonkers, and I love it. It's like 10 out of 10. Dodge, you've nailed it. S tier. So now we get into the cars that joined Gran Turismo in GT Sport. And we'll start it off with the Hyundai N 2025 Vision Gran Turismo. Designed to commemorate Hyundai's 50th anniversary in 2017, this car has 4 electric motors powered by hydrogen fuel cells. The styling is pretty cool, and I do love the shark fin with the Hyundai logo. There's no rear wing as well, just like the WEC Peugeot in 2022. It comes in a Group 1 version as well. It's a cool car, and honestly, both versions get A tier. The Bugatti Vision Gran Turismo came before the Bugatti Chiron, and it's basically a racing version of that car. It's got the Bugatti W16 engine with 1,600 brake horsepower and awesome styling with 4 rear exhausts and a light bar. It's got a kind of funky looking rear wing with the shark fin as well. It's a classic Bugatti nose, and I can totally imagine this car existing in real life. Also, it has blue sidewalls, which I kind of love on the tires. S tier. It also has a version that can race Group 1, but that one only has about 1/3 of the horsepower, so that one I'm going to give an A tier. Next is the Fittipaldi EF7 Vision Gran Turismo. So this car is a bit of a weird one because it doesn't actually exist in GT7. This car is a collab between Emerson Fittipaldi, design house Pininfarina, and HWA, who used to run in Formula E, F2, and F3. So this car was actually unveiled at the Geneva International Motor Show, and a limited run of 39 track-only cars were built based on the 39 wins that Emerson Fittipaldi got himself in IndyCar and Formula 1. The car is a 4.8 litre naturally aspirated V8, and it's supposed to look like a shark. Now, Fittipaldi Motors went inactive from March 2019, and we've not heard anything from them since. This car doesn't appear in GT7, and that's probably because the business doesn't exist as well. This gets an RIP tier, but it could also be, I guess, B tier as well. The McLaren Ultimate Vision Gran Turismo is another of the very uncomfortable looking prone seating layout race cars. It looks very Formula 1-like with the bodywork just covering each wheel. It has some cool styling with the orange and blue and a little kiwi on the side referencing old mate Bruce McLaren. There's also a Group 1 version that's a little slower to meet the class. Both get A tier, and mostly because of the little kiwi on the side. Next is the Daihatsu Copen RJ Vision Gran Turismo. Now this is the cutest Vision GT car in the series, and the engine displacement technically meets the K car requirements of Japan, being only 660 cc's. The actual size of the car, though, from what I can tell, doesn't meet those requirements. It's just slightly too wide and too long. The RJ stands for Racing Jacket, which I don't fully understand. It does have a roof, though, which the normal Copen doesn't have. Maybe the roof is the Racing Jacket? Very cute. I'm gonna give it a B tier. Next is the Peugeot L500R and L750R hybrid Vision Gran Turismo cars. The L500R was originally designed to honour the 100th anniversary of Peugeot winning the 1916 Indianapolis 500, which I didn't even know that Peugeot raced in. The tail of the car is based upon the Peugeot L45, which won in 1916. It's very old school, but also quite ugly, honestly. It's a hybrid 1.6 litre turbo, and it's a very cool car, but honestly, too long. C tier. The L750R hybrid is the Group 1 racing version of the L500R. It's been given fat wings on the front and the back, with the front one looking extremely Pikes Peak. It has over double the power and nearly 200 kilograms more than the L500. It also looks a lot more well proportioned in race trim, honestly, and I'm gonna give it an A tier. The IsoRivolta Zagato Vision Gran Turismo is from Italian designer Zagato and manufacturer IsoRivolta. The car is front-engined with a single, concerningly large exhaust exit at the back, and it is a naturally aspirated Chevy V8 that produces 559 horsepower. It's a very angry-looking car, maybe too angry. I'm going to give it a D tier just because it looks a little bit too angry. Next is the Honda Sports Vision Gran Turismo. It's a little version of the current day NSX weighing just under 900 kilograms. It's got an 8-speed transmission, which means lots of gears, and the MR layout means it turns particularly well. Honda actually filed patent designs for this car in 2015, with it titled the ZSX. Everyone got very excited over it, but then Honda killed everyone's dreams by denying ever putting it into production. This car looks kind of weird, I guess, and I'm going to give it a D tier. The Audi e-tron Vision Gran Turismo is based on the Audi 90 IMSA GTO car. It's fully electric and it looks and goes very, very fast. It is the classic Quattro four-wheel drive and great Audi styling, and it sort of looks like a bigger version of the R8 in a sort of weird way. The rear of the car is awesome. It's got a big Quattro and Audi logo, and the wing is great. Also, the rims are super old school. I'm going to give it an A tier. There's also a hybrid version you can race in Group 1. It has a little less power, but a little less weight as well. It removes the big bit over the grille as the combustion engine needs to breathe. And I'm going to also give it an A tier. Next is the Jaguar Vision Gran Turismo Coupe. It's a fully electric car producing 1,010 horsepower. It's very, very fast in a straight line. It is super sleek styling with lots of smooth edges, and the front of the car looks lovely. It also has a full-on heads-up display in the cockpit. This car debuted at the Tokyo round of the 2019 Gran Turismo World Tour. So I was actually invited to this event to race as an AM driver in this car, which was pretty cool. The race was terrible and I got binned like 6 times in 5 laps, and just because it's triggering my PTSD of that race, I'm going to give it a C tier. The Lamborghini Lambo V12 Vision Gran Turismo was revealed a month after the Jaguar at the 2019 World Finals in Monaco, but it only actually made it to Gran Turismo with the launch of GT7. Now, you didn't hear it incorrectly. This car is actually unironically named the Lambo by Lamborghini, so I think that's pretty funny. It's a V12 hybrid with some full-on aero, and it gives off similar vibes to the McLaren Vision GT car, but with many more angles. And like all Lamborghinis, it looks very, very angry. It has a bunch of augmented reality stuff in the dash, and the headlights are a sort of Y-shape with hexagon rims and exhaust. Also, I'm pretty sure you can see the shock absorbers from outside the car, and I'm gonna give it a B tier. Next up is another Jaguar, the Jaguar Vision Gran Turismo SV. It's a racing version of the previous Jag with a big old wing on the front and back. It keeps the electric engine, but now produces a whopping 1,876 brake horsepower. It's 4-wheel drive, and it's too fast to be legal, in my opinion. B tier. There's also a roadster version of that Jag that I missed, and it's getting a D tier because it has no roof, and I like roofs. Next is the Porsche Vision Gran Turismo, which launched alongside GT7. It's got quad front headlights and a big light bar at the back. Also, is the Porsche logo at the back a hologram? I'm pretty sure it is. It's fully electric with 2 engines that together produce just under 1,010 horsepower. It's got active aero, and getting up to speed, it's like a full-on rocket. I'm gonna give it an A tier. Finally, we have the Suzuki Vision Gran Turismo. It's a 2-seater roadster, another car without a roof, and it's inspired by the Cappuccino and Swift. It's a hybrid 4-wheel drive that uses a Hayabusa engine, which is straight out of the motorbike, and the same engine that's in a Radical as well. It's got really cute styling and I just like the vibe of the whole thing, so I'm gonna give it an A tier. There's also a Group 3 version with a wing on the front and back, along with an FR layout. It's a lot faster than the 4-wheel drive version and carries the cool Suzuki livery they use in MotoGP. This car was used in round 1 of the Gran Turismo World Series this year and caused a bit of drama at Watkins Glen. It's a cool car, but a little bit less cute than the road one, so it gets a B tier. So this is the entire list. Any surprises? What are your thoughts? Do you hate it? Do you love it? Let us know in the comments. And also, if you want to have a go creating your own tier list and like angrily tweeting it at us on Twitter if you want and being like, this is the correct one, feel free to go for it. I've linked the link to it in the description just below. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, please give us a like and remember to subscribe for more GT7 sim racing and racing content on Overtake. Thanks. And I'll see you next time. Bye.